Okay, we are officially an hour away from go time. Um, for anybody who has not yet partaken, little pregame beverage. We're not breaking into the good stuff until 7 o'clock. But for now, we just keep it light, an hour out. It's funny. My before I say anything about the series, I'm gonna do a whole little series preview here. We'll get into some stats. I'll answer a bunch of fresh cut. I'll answer a bunch of questions. Couple things. One, I'm in my living room because I'm watching what I thought would be the end of a very close Lakers Suns game. Turns out I may not be in for much here. Second thing, hey D, my wife is on here. Speaking of my wife has been asking me all week, especially the last couple of days. She's like, "You getting excited? You getting excited? You excited yet?" And I'm like, I wasn't there yet. It hadn't hit me yet. I think because I was thinking about this. I was driving home because we were at a christening today, my wife's nephew's christening, and I left early because my wife is a saint and she doesn't mind. So I'm driving home, and it's finally starting to hit me that the Knicks are about to host a playoff game. And I was wondering, I'm like, why did this not hit me earlier? Why did it take me so long? And now I'm like starting to get all the feelings or all of like the nervousness and all the agita is like starting to bubble up like from my stomach and like coming up to the throat and the whole thing. And I think it's just because for years and years and years now, it's just been looking for any signs of life. And now we're about to host a playoff game. And it still boggles my mind how this team was able to make this jump in 1 year. And I think all this week, as I was writing about this series and podcasting about this series and locker rooming about this series and texting and DMing and tweeting about this series, it had not fully hit me that the Knicks, the fucking New York Knicks, who have been the butt of every joke and have sucked ass for so long, are about to host a playoff game. And but again, as I was driving home today, it hit me, and now I'm nervous. And now I'm nervous because, wow, the Lakers are really going to lose this game. And now I'm nervous because, one, and I've written it, you could say house money all you want. Yes, we're playing with house money. Almost nothing they do this series diminishes anything they've been able to accomplish. In the grand scheme of things, this series probably does not matter all that much because they are not going to win the championship this year. Spoiler alert. But they've already proven enough to everybody else around the rest of the league to get where they need to go this offseason in terms of trades, adding pieces, whatever the case may be. So this series is the very definition of gravy. And I know that intellectually, but at the same time, the last week, we're just, experiencing how hyped up everybody is, including myself now. And like the atmosphere that it's going to be at the Garden, the thought of losing this game or the thought of losing this series is just, I don't know. I can't wrap my mind around it, which is why, for as much as I could sit here intellectually and say, this is gravy, what happens now doesn't matter. It absolutely matters. It matters more than as much as any series has mattered since the 90s. And that's just a fact. So anyway, that's my opening spiel. Don Cappuccini, I hope I'm pretty sure they're going to have that chant going strong tonight in the Garden. Julito, my main man, Julito McCollum. What's going on, brother? How are you? Welcome to the chat. So I'm nervous, as I said. Why am I nervous? Let me just, I'm going to be just very specific, and I will be very brief about this, and then I'm going to take some questions. If you want to know why I'm nervous, here's why I'm nervous. The Atlanta Hawks this season did not, let's say, have their players did not necessarily have their best games. against the New York Knicks. And I say that fully aware that Clint Capella owned us. But in terms of some of their other pieces, I'm just going to read off some numbers. Bogdan Bogdanovic shot 38% from three. Trae Young, 21% from three. Kevin Huerter, 17% from three. Lou Williams played one game against us, did not hit a three-pointer. And Danilo Gallinari was the one guy who actually converted at a commensurate rate. But again, Danilo Gallinari only played one game against us. DeAndre Hunter, 50% from three, made 3 of 6, only played one game against us. All of the guys that I just mentioned had outstanding regular seasons. Not just, with the exception of Trae Young, who was obviously not great from three. But as far as the rest of them, and obviously DeAndre Hunter, who was hurt, Bogdan Bogdanovic on the year made 44% of his threes almost on almost 8 attempts per game. Think about that for a second. Gallinari over 40%. Kevin Huerter, 36%. DeAndre Hunter was their second best player until he went out and was hurt. So when I'm looking at this series and I'm looking at like, okay, so why did all those players shoot so much worse against us during the 3 games than they did in the rest of their series that they played all year, with the exception of Trae Young, who, well, he did shoot worse, but he wasn't that great during the year. And I would love to attribute it completely to the Knicks defense, and I think some of it is the Knicks defense, but I also attribute it to the fact that they had a coach who didn't really know what he was doing for the first 2 contests. And then for the third game, they were up, and then Trae Young went out, and he was hurt. And I just keep trying to think back to, how do the Knicks defend this team? And I'm like, okay, so the Knicks don't have an elite point of attack defender who's going to be able to shut down Trae Young at the point of attack, because there's probably 5 guys like that in the entire league. They have Frank. Trae has eaten Frank's lunch the couple of times that they've played. Elfrid Payton is a non-entity. We know that. Derrick Rose tried his best, not great. Emmanuel Quickley, I'd argue, actually might be the best option because he likes skittering around those picks. Let's put him aside for a second. Trae Young's going to get into the lane. The floater is going to be there for Trae Young whenever he wants. Okay, so the smart money says give him the floater. Well, if you give him the floater, then the math says that he hits that floater 47% of the time, which is, good for a floater as far as your points per possession compared with like a Clint Capella lob or a Bogdan Bogdanovic 3 or a Gallo 3 or a Lou Williams 3 or any of these other guys shooting threes. The floater seems to be the best option, except that's a little bit of fuzzy math. Why is it fuzzy math? It's fuzzy math because you're also not taking into account the fact that Clint Capella has owned the offensive rebounds against us all fucking year. So it's not just that you're giving up Trae Young floaters. You're giving up Trae Young floaters with the possibility, I would say not probability, but somewhere in between possibility and probability, that Clint Capella is coming down with these bad boys and putting it up for a points per possession that's a hell of a lot higher than whatever the Young floater is, 0.94. So you say, okay, help off the shooters and make them dig into the paint or whatever. Like, don't just concede the floater. And I think that's what they'll do. But if the Hawks start hitting these shots, it's going to create a world of problems. I think the Knicks can bring enough on defense that they will have the edge at the end of the day in this equation, in this very funky equation. But there's also the part of me that's like, wow, Trae Young has played like ass against us through 3 games, more or less. The third game, he had it going for a little bit, but he has not played well. Are we going to have to deal with a Trae Young game at some point? Or 2 Trae Young games? Or 3 Trae Young games? And I don't think we know the answer to that. And it's like we keep focusing on how the Knicks don't have an answer for Julius Randle. Or, excuse me, the Hawks don't have an answer for Julius Randle. The Knicks don't really have an answer for Trae Young. And again, maybe Frank comes in and surprises the hell out of me. Maybe Elfrid Payton plays the sort of defense that everybody within the Garden seems to want us to believe he's actually capable of playing. Maybe Quickly's ready to step to the challenge. I don't know. I mean, Rose can hold his own on some possessions, but so if you're asking me why I'm so nervous, that's part of why I'm nervous. Yes, Lewis, those were regular season games. We have more experience and a better coach. We definitely have the better coach, but as far as the experience goes, first playoff games for Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. I think that's significant. Obviously, Emmanuel Quickly, first playoff game. Reggie Bullock, Alec Burks, Taj Gibson, Derrick Rose. I'm forgetting someone pretty obvious, I'm sure. Oh, Nerlens Noel. All of those guys have playoff experience. That matters. Tibbs matters a lot. What I'm still worried about, and Jason makes a great point here in the chat. The refs are going to be important. If they allow the Knicks to play physical, then it's over. I think how the refs call this series is huge, but at the same time, playing physical with Trae Young to me doesn't mean okay, there's two ways you could bring that conversation. The first way to bring that conversation is being physical with him at the point of attack. And again, we're starting Elfrid Payton. He's we haven't seen that all year from Elfrid Payton. I guess occasionally he does, and he gets calls for those early fouls. Maybe they let him get away with more stuff. That would be nice. But then you're talking about when Trae Young gets into the paint and he stops short and he sticks his ass into guys and he tries to draw the foul and that nonsense. That I think is more important. I don't necessarily if we had Drew Holiday on our team and Drew Holiday, was, allowed to do what Drew Holiday does, for instance, playing physical with guys, that would be game over. If the refs let that stuff slide a little bit. I think even if the refs let stuff slide, it's not exactly the trump card that it might be for some other team just because we don't have that type of personnel. Futternick, great point. First playoffs for Trae, Hunter, Bogey too. Absolutely. Bogdanovic, I'm going to give a little bit of a pass because I just trust him in big games. I feel like he's had Olympic experience. But yeah, first playoffs for Trae Young. I think though, the playoff advantage thing is pretty much even. I do give the huge advantage though to Tom Thibodeau. Absolutely, Tibbs gets the advantage coaching. No two ways about it. But I also don't think Tibbs is coaching against Vinny Del Negro here, or I'm trying David Fizdale to bring up a familiar name. So Nate McMillan knows how to coach. He's not Tibbs, but he knows how to coach. All right, we have our first contribution to the super chat. Thank you guys. Of course, CT Pittman gets in on the action here. But first, we got Slacker Hero wearing my Nike Ntilikina shirtsy. I love that I think it's called a shirtsy, but I like shirtsy better. I want to see Frank put the clamps on Trae and hit at least 2 threes. New York, we here. Enjoy the game, everyone. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing I'll say about Frank. I went back and watched all of Trae Young's shooting possessions against Frank Ntilikina from last season. I did not love what I saw. That said, the way Frank was playing is not the way we've seen Frank play this season. I think we've seen a much better Frank than what we saw last year. I think Frank was a shell of himself last year, mentally, emotionally, maybe even physically. I trust Frank more against Trae Young this year than I did last year. I need to see it first. I have to see it first before I say he's going to put the clamps on. So, but I think we're going to see it at some point, maybe tonight. CT Pittman, my main man. I think the crowd and the moment is going to be too big for the Hawks, at least in game 1. Maybe a counter to that I would bring up, and again, this is lots of Knicks fan PTSD here coming out, but Julius Randle, he didn't say anything today about it during his media availability after shoot-around, but after the All-Star break, he said he never plays well coming out of All-Star break because of the days off. And sure enough, he went out in that first game after the break, and he shot. I forget what he shot against the Bucks, but it wasn't good. I don't think the moment is going to get to him, though. And I think, if anything, maybe he will reflect on that experience and use it to bounce back and come out differently today. Plus, I think the thing with Randall is that he looks at these guys like walking cupcakes, like walking slices of juniors. And he just has his fork ready. He has his napkin tucked in his shirt. I mean, this motherfucker just eats. He just eats and eats and eats. And here's the thing. He does not fear anyone on the Hawks whatsoever. And that's actually a good. Actually, one more super chat comment, and then I'm going to get to my conversation about the Knicks offense versus the Hawks defense. Robert Cross with the comment: "Who's the X factor for the series for the Knicks?" Also, I'll be preparing chicken cutlets for tonight's postgame. Good man, Robert Cross. I have some chicken cutlets in the fridge as well that I'm going to have ready to go. It's a tie for me. It's a tie for me between two guys. Actually, no. I'm not going to take the easy way out. I was going to say it's a tie between three guys: Quickly, Rose, and Barrett. I don't think Rose is an X factor because I think we know what Rose is going to bring. And I don't think Quickly is an X factor because I think we know what Quickly will bring, except he's only going to bring it a couple of times, 2-3 times. We just have to capitalize on those games. I think RJ Barrett is the X factor. And here's why I think RJ Barrett's the X factor. I was messaging with someone with the team earlier today, and he posited just a possibility that he thought we would see some more emphasis on RJ getting the ball late in games inside the arc. And the reason for that is when this person was breaking down some film on the team, noticed that when RJ goes a bunch of possessions in a row, and this is not necessarily a compliment to RJ, but we've all seen it, he kind of tends to ball watch a little bit on both defense and offense, actually. Doesn't move as much on offense, and he ball watches a little bit on defense. I think they need RJ to win this series. I don't think they could win this series with RJ playing I don't want to say like he's been playing for the last month or so, because I think he's played really well on defense over the last month, and he obviously shot the lights out of the ball from three over the last month. And he's also been a pretty good playmaker over the last month. But I think he needs to come through inside the arc in terms of converting some of these looks around the rim. And Clint Capella made his life very, 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 very difficult in some of these matchups. And Clint Capella makes a lot of guys' life really difficult. And the thing that I'm most curious about, and I was messaging with Dallas Amico over at the Strickland on Twitter about this earlier today, is just for shits and giggles. Could you imagine if they stuck Trae Young on RJ Barrett? Now, RJ Barrett's going to look at Trae Young and be like, get the fuck out of here. Just keep feeding me the ball. Except for one thing. I think if they did that, they would feel more comfortable leaving Capella on either Noel or Taj so he could hang back at the basket. And they would stick Collins on Julius Randle. Why does that matter? Because if they try to hide Trae on RJ Barrett and invite Barrett to take Trae Young into the paint, they know he's going to do that. And they know he's not going to swing the ball around to Randle, even though Randle has Collins on him, because RJ with Trae on him is the better mismatch than Collins trying to guard Randle. If he tries to take Young into the paint in those instances, Capella's still going to be able to be waiting there. We've seen RJ do that. We've seen RJ beat his man off the dribble only to get denied by some big guy or another that's hanging back in the paint. Maybe this is a little too ultra specific. He could still, hurt you in other ways if he drives. He could throw lobs. We've seen him throw some great lobs. Not as good as the lobs he threw to Mitchell Robinson at the beginning of the year, but he's thrown lobs to Nerlens Noel. He's made really nice passes to Taj Gibson. So I don't think this is the panacea or anything for the Hawks. I still think RJ could beat them there, but it's just like one of several things that the Hawks can do. Another thing I'm wondering, if the Hawks keep Collins on Randle and basically say, here, we're going to give you this matchup. You could have, if you get 45 on John Collins, you get 45 on John Collins. But what that does is it keeps Capella at the rim. So again, whether it's Derrick Rose in the game, whether it's Elfrid Payton in the game, whether it's Emmanuel Quickley in the game, whether it's RJ Barrett in the game, all of these guys who like to drive, and I know Quickley doesn't take his drives all the way, he puts up the floaters. If Capella is back there, it makes all the difference in the world. And I just wonder I would love to know the internal math calculations that the Hawks have done as far as like fuck it. What if we just put John Collins on Randall and here's the thing. They could start Collins on Randall. They don't necessarily need to leave Collins on Randall. They could start out with Collins on Randall at the beginning of the game, second quarter, third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter, start bringing the hard doubles. Or maybe switch it up with DeAndre Hunter, who's a little quicker and is a much better defender than Collins and is arguably just as strong. Switch it up to Collins then, or Capella then, excuse me. They have a lot of options, and what Randall is going to be asked to do, and I'm repeating myself from stuff I've said on the pod, I'm repeating myself from what I said on the locker room, so apologies if you've heard this, but they are asking Randall to be like essentially a top 10 NBA player, the Knicks are, to win this series. Now, he has been a top 10 NBA player against the Hawks over 3 games, but can he do it over a sustained stretch in the playoffs now? Can he constantly make the right decision? But here's the tough part, right? You play the Hawks once, you eat all you want against John Collins, you go and you play a different team the next night, it's a different game plan, it's a different MO. Here, it's Hawks, 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 Hawks. So, if Randall just gets whatever he wants in game 1, does that mean he's going to have enough to go back to the well and get whatever he wants in game 2, and then game 3, and then game 4? Or does Randall begin to tire out? And is it such that maybe by the end of the series, the Hawks are a little bit more comfortable putting, Capella or Hunter on Randall from the beginning of the game? And maybe those kickouts to 3-point shooters aren't there as easily as they may have been in the first or second or third game of the series, which is why I tweeted today. I think it's vitally important for Randall, even if he has single coverage, soft coverage out on the perimeter, whether it's Collins, Capella, Herter, Hunter, whoever the hell. I think it's important that he has to force the issue. I think he has to drive into the paint. I think he has to draw doubles. And I think he has to kick out to open 3-point shooters starting in the first quarter of this game, and keep these guys involved. Because if at any point the Knicks offense devolves into what we've seen it devolve to at points in stretches of games where they can't score at all, that's where we're going to be a problem, because I worry about our defense being able to stop their offense for a sustained period of time. I think our defense could stop their offense for stretches. But if we go into one of these ruts where 5, 6, 7 minutes, we're not scoring, the Hawks worry the shit out of me. So that's kind of, if you're asking me why I am just completely ready to just see the game and I don't want to think about this matchup anymore, I just want to see it. This is all the shit that was going on inside my head all week, and plus a bunch more stuff. But that's the basics of it. Because there are real matchup stuff. There's real matchup stuff here that is interesting and complicated. And I as much as I wish I could sit here and just be like, the Knicks are the tougher team, they'll win because they're the tougher team and they have the better coach and they have the best player, I can't make it that simple. Dirty Dancer, J-Mac psyching himself out. We are tougher, better defenders, and better coach. I swear I didn't read that before I just said what I said. We're all of those things. We're all of those things, and defense wins in the playoffs. Defense wins in the playoffs 50 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, now. And that matters. Manny Ortiz, geez, Macri, calm down and have a little faith. This is making me sad for you. It makes me sad for me. But I can't help but think about this stuff. This is what happens when you do a podcast and a newsletter a day. When you do a podcast and a newsletter a day, this is how in your head you get. You can't just sit back and be like, oh, the Knicks are in their first playoff game in 8 years. Let's fucking enjoy this. No. Can't be that easy. Anyway, all right, let me take some questions here from the chat. I'm sure we got a lot of stuff. Futternick nailed it. I'm not going to say it out loud because I can't say it out loud. Jason M. Macri, you're overthinking it, putting too much emphasis on individual players and not the team play. This Knicks team is not the same team they were earlier in the season. No, but neither are the Hawks. And that is obvious in their net rating. That's obvious in the eye test. That's obvious in their record. But neither are the Knicks. The Knicks are a lot better. And I think the Knicks are playing with a lot more confidence too. I think they're playing with a lot more confidence than they were earlier in the year, which is important, very important. Shout out to Croatian Knicks. Eshwin Varghese, I wish the Knicks made the playoffs more often so we wouldn't have this anxiety. Yeah, me too. CPM, we're going to be fine. Please try to enjoy it a little bit. Listen, this is the real reason why I'm doing this pregame. So I can get all this shit out now. And by the time game time gets here, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it. That's it. I'm getting it all out now. I'm not worrying about any of it come game time. I'm just going to enjoy it. Dylan, no overtime, no overtime for me. I do want to. I just was reminded to shout out Vic Nasibi. So Vic Nasibi watches a lot of these. I don't know if he's watching now. I know he watches the post games and he listens to the pod. He is in Kenya, and he is trying to start a sustainable food hotel over in Kenya. And we've talked a lot over the course of the year. So I just want to shout out Vic, watching all the way from Kenya. So Vic, if you're watching, shout out to you. If you're not watching, hopefully somebody passes the message along to you. Anyway, let's get some more questions here. Bobby Schmidt, love your point on Randall. Thank you. Frederick, we are indeed here. Carson Kalem, how much minutes do you think Obi is getting? Ooh. I think Obi Toppin tonight will play 6 minutes and 52 seconds of organized basketball for the New York Knicks. 6 minutes and 52 seconds. That is my answer. I see we have a bunch of picks in here. I see a lot of people picking Knicks in 5, Knicks in 6, Knicks in 7. Sorry to the person I made start to feel anxious. Chiu Ethan, J-Mac, maybe Julius's playmaking would be the decisive point in the series. He's been playmaking all year. It's not like we've ever reached a point where people have said at points this year, oh, I think Julius is reverting back. I think he's shooting too much. He's not passing as much as he needs to. I've never seen that from Julius this season. I have seen Julius be unselfish to a fault at the beginning of the year, and I've seen Julius make the correct basketball decision really for months now. I don't feel like he ever makes the incorrect basketball decision, and the only times where you can argue that he makes the incorrect basketball decision are where it's late in the fourth quarter or some of these close games, and he takes the shot. But if you look around the court and you look at like they want him to take the shot. I think Tibbs wants him to take the shot. I think his teammates want him to take the shot. I think they're like, okay, Julius, you're our guy. Bring us home. I don't think that's on Julius. Now, are there times when Julius will shoot it a bunch more than he does in some games than he does in other games? Yes, but that's because teams are single covering him. And Thibodeau is very specific, and it is not complicated how Tibbs wants it, Julius and anybody else for that matter, to go about their business in these games. If you are single covered and you have a guy on you, and for Julius it's John Collins, that you could beat one-on-one, you shoot. You make something happen with the ball on offense. Now, for Julius, that can mean taking a 3. It can mean taking a long 2. It can mean driving to the hoop. It can mean a lot of different things. But if they are going to leave John Collins on him one-on-one, Julius's assignment there is to shoot the ball. That's not Julius being selfish. That's Julius making the basketball play that his coach has told him he should play. He should make. So it's not like I'm worried about his playmaking, but my point before is that he almost needs to force the playmaking even more so than he would in normal circumstances, at least early in the games, at least to get these other guys going. Let Reggie Bullock start feeling it. Let Alec Burks start feeling it. Let RJ start feeling it from deep. All these guys. And so, that becomes like, if the Knicks 3-point shooting is a bellwether for this series, I'm completely comfortable with that because of all the things that you could question about the Knicks. Is it real? Is it not real? This, that, and the other thing. I think their 3-point shooting is 1,000% real. I don't question the Knicks 3-point shooting one iota. It's just a matter of, are they going to get those shots, or are teams going to or is it landing on a single cover Julius and that be that? I just realized I could put on MSG for the pregame, which of course, I'm going to do. We got first Australian here. I'd run a lot of pin downs for Reggie and Alec to see if the Hawks want to play defense and hedge screens or fight through screens instead of switching for matchups. Yeah, I'm down with pin downs. And I'm down with pin downs. I'm down with pin downs anytime. I love the idea of making the Hawks work. Like, here's the thing, and that's a really great point, first Australian, because, and I get sucked into this too. Someone just brought up Lou Williams, Eshwin Varghese. Here's the thing about Trae Young and Lou Williams, one of whom will always be on the court. When we talk about hunting matchups and we talk about hunting weak defenders, in our mind, it's like, oh, okay, give the ball to Derrick Rose or give the ball to Emmanuel Quickley when Trae Young or Lou Williams is on them and just let them go to work and let them go one-on-one. That's not the only thing when it comes to hunting bad defenders. Because, like we saw with Obi Toppin earlier in the year, he's got much better. And more importantly, as we saw with fucking Kevin Knox for the previous 2 seasons, hunting defenders could just mean putting defenders in actions that get them confused. And even if it's only a moment of confusion, that's enough to make the difference between a scoring possession and a not scoring possession, especially when the Knicks are shooting the ball as confidently from the outside as they are. Now, I feel like the Knicks don't do as much of the creative stuff. They more are just like, we're going to give the ball. We're going to try to get our best players in matchup advantages and play off of that and kick off of that. And I feel like they keep it simple. And I feel like that's kind of why they get a lot of buy-in. Like, notice, not to go on a tangent here, very, very quick. Julius Randle has been bought in since day one, playing the hardest fucking defense of his life since day one. And I'm going to use a comparison here. Kevin Durant, when he was with the Warriors, they ran all kinds of crazy actions. And you know what Kevin Durant said? Kevin Durant's like, peace, I'm out of here. I want to go to a team where I could just, kind of play one-on-one and make the correct pass when the correct pass is there to be made. Like, the best players in the NBA, by and large, that's how they like to play. They don't like to play with a lot of crazy actions and stuff. Like, Steph Curry is the exception to the rule. So I think part of the reason that Tibbs gets buy-in is Randall likes, and I'm not just saying Randall. You could say the same thing about Rose. You could say the same thing about RJ. These guys are alphas. Like, RJ's an alpha. Rose is an alpha. Randall's an alpha. These guys like to have the ball, and they like to be able to, like, look, if I get some little dude on me who can't guard me, I just want to be able to take that guy. I will make the correct play when the correct play is there to be made, but that's the offense that I want to run. So to get back to the original point about running split actions and different things, like, a little bit of that would be great with some of the other guys, like, or pin downs or whatever, like Burks and Reggie Bullock. Like, I'm all for that. We'll see. We'll see if they do it. I think they should. I think it's a great point. Okay, what else do we got? I see a lot of laughter going on in the chat. I'm glad everybody is feeling free and easy. I'm trying to get there. I probably need to finish this beer quickly so I can move on to a darker liquid. That's what I say. Andrew Claudio, shout out to Andrew Claudio. Andrew Claudio, I believe, had a nice day at the beach. So Andrew, I hope you wore sunscreen. And you did not, burn. Very serious stuff. You don't want to burn. He seems to be loosey goosey. Miller Corrigan asks, who comes off the bench first, Burks or D Rose for Elf? I think the Tibbs will stick with the same rotation patterns we've seen all year. Rose and Taj will both be in within the first 5-6 minutes. And then we'll get Burks and Quickley in some order. And then it'll be Randall, unless he was going for a while bringing Randall off the court first for Toppin and leaving RJ in for longer. I don't think he's going to do that against this team. I think I would be shocked if Julius Randle doesn't play the entire first quarter tonight, absent like foul trouble or something. Yeah, Clutch B-Ball TV. I'm so nervous. Thank you. Someone else joining me in my nerves of what's the opposite of nerves of steel? Nerves of tissue paper. Yeah, that's what I got. Nerves of tissue paper. Got to get rid of Elf next year. We are getting rid of Elf next year. I promise you that. Go Knicks from Jakarta, Indonesia. Holy shit. Indonesia's in the house. 5:30 a.m. here, man. God bless. Thank you for tuning in and watching and being psyched. And that's crazy. That's awesome, man. Great. Shout out to you. Yes, Markham. Curry is the exception to almost all of the rules. Dylan DeAndrea. Expect some serendipity from D Rose tonight, dishing and swishing. I love the comment. Yeah, I think Derrick Rose is going to be great. I think Derrick Rose has proven himself time and time again to be a fantastic postseason player. If you go back, and I've referenced this before, if you go back and look at Rose, what he did in the Timberwolves series against the Houston Rockets, even if you go back and look at what he did in the it was 2013-14 Eastern Conference semifinals against the Heat. Rose had some, and that was post ACL. Rose had some massive games in that series. And if a couple of things break differently, that's maybe a different series than it didn't end up being. All right, what else we got? Mark Morris, I'll be wearing my KFS New York We Here t-shirt. Hey, how you doing? I just realized I put on my We Here instead of my 2021 playoffs We Here. I hope that doesn't bring any kind of like bad luck. Chip Murphy, nerves of Cantor. Oh my God. Nerves of Cantor. How are my nipples feeling? How are my nipples? Let's check on my nipples. It's the playoffs. No, they're still not hard. I'm sorry, Ines. I'm sorry. I couldn't get hard nipples for you. Maybe next time. Maybe if you were here, I would have hard nipples for the playoffs. It's a shame. It's a real shame. Anyway, what else we got? Now that I've talked. Oh wait, I just realized my wife is watching this from the christening party that she's at, and I think my in-laws may have just heard me talk about my nipples in front of 342 people. This is quite a development. Anyway, Vasco Albuquerque. Can't believe this is happening. We're back in the playoffs, cheering all the way from Portugal. Portugal, baby. Giddy up. I would love to go to Portugal. I hear it's fantastic. Yes, link to the t-shirt in the notes below my face. Check that out. Tamo Aki. WD. I don't know what that means. We here. Yes, we are here. It looks like we hear from, I should know what that flag is, but is that a Spanish flag? I think that's a Spanish flag. I hope it's a Spanish flag. Okay. What else we got? Any other thoughts that I have that I wanted to get out before we Tamo Aki, we here. Thank you. Germany. Yes, Germany. I confused the Spanish flag with the German flag, which you could see how I would do that because they're not similar at all. Anyway, Stevens Guillaume, opinion on all the playoff games I've seen so far. Shout out from Switzerland. Big shout out. Okay, giddy up. We got Jeremy Cohen. He's just texted me from the Garden. He is sitting by, apparently, Captain Pearl. Okay, giddy up. Who do I like in all the playoffs? What have I seen in the playoff series? I think Miami is going to make Andrew Claudio look very silly. I think that's going to be a 7-game series, and I think Miami could win. I have seen. What else have I seen? Let me see. Let me think about it. I didn't get a chance to watch much of Lakers Suns today. I watched a little bit of it, but the Lakers just don't seem very good right now. Oh, the Mavericks. I watched most of that Mavericks game. I was very impressed by the Mavericks. I think I talked up the Mavericks before the playoffs. I just think Luka's really good. It has nothing to do with Porzingis. I think Porzingis sucks. I think Porzingis is going to get traded this offseason. I think Dallas can't wait to get him out of town. I don't think the coach likes him. I heard from a little birdie who I can't say much about more than that, but I heard from a little birdie. Just keep an eye out for Mr. KP this offseason in terms of whether he has worn out his welcome already in Dallas. But I was very impressed by them. I just think Luka, if we're sitting around here and we're saying, holy shit, the 2021 playoffs established Luka Doncic as like the best player in the NBA, I don't think that's crazy. I think it could happen. I think Luka's really good. All right, we got some breaking news. DeAndre Hunter is starting over Kevin Huerter tonight. Very interesting. So that means, hang on here. So Vork with a good stat here. The Hawks starting lineup hasn't played together at all in the last 15 games. They've played just 39 minutes together all season. They've outscored opponents by 5 points in that time. So Trae, here's the question. Do they hide Trae on Bullock? I think it's interesting. They could hide Trae on Bullock and then stick Huerter. Because if you're starting, Huerter's not starting. Hunter, I think they're going to stick Bogey on RJ. Or no, maybe they're really going to start Hunter on Randall. If they start Hunter on Randall, then it leaves Capella on whoever the center is. Then it frees up Collins. Now, you could hide Collins. That's it. I bet you they try to hide fucking Collins on Peyton. And then Bogey, and then hide Trae on Bullock and Bogey on RJ. That's interesting. I wonder if they'll do that. Huh. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I guess we'll find out in about 15 minutes. Is anyone, by the way, I'm sure there are people here that are in the Garden. So if anybody here is in the Garden, shout out to you. You guys are awesome. Make some fucking noise tonight. Leave that place with your voices gone. I need your voice gone. Well, not before the end of the game, but like by the end of the game, I need your voice completely gone. Derek Williams predicts Knicks with the sweep. Kawhi also has an idea, or maybe they throw Collins on RJ to get weird. Yeah, that's interesting, but if Collins is going to give space to RJ on the 3-point line, I wonder how that factors into it. But then again, RJ, these threes come off of, a lot of mostly Randall assists, or when the ball's swinging around, and he has some decent space. It's not like if Collins is playing off from 5 feet and RJ has the ball, he's just going to put it up. Those aren't the shots RJ's been taking from deep. Maybe they put so then you could still put Trae on Reggie Bullock if you want, and then I guess Bogey on Peyton. That's a possible. Like, here's the thing: they don't have any good options against Randall, but the Hawks can do some interesting stuff on the rest of the Knicks. I think they're just going to throw the kitchen sink out and try some different shit and try to confuse the Knicks. And hopefully the Knicks don't take the bait. The Knicks, and that's part of why I like the Knicks having a more simplistic offense, because I think they know what they do and they could execute what they do and they make a commitment to doing it. And as Tibbs has been saying ad nauseum for the entire fucking year, It's about building the right habits. And if you look at the Knicks record in the last 20 games versus the first 10 or first 20 or first 30, and their net rating in the beginning of the season versus their net rating now, they are a world's better team. So they are going to be ready. They'll be ready. I think they will be ready for what different stuff the Hawks throw at them. But I do wonder if it throws them, at least, initially. We'll see. Kawhi, they probably don't want to wear out both Trae and Bogey. Yeah, that's the other side of the coin. It's a great point, because if you give some of these guys more difficult defensive assignments, and then you're asking them to do whatever they got to do at the other end, especially Bogdanovich. Like Trae, I think they're going to hide. Bogdanovich, are they going to ask him to have a difficult defensive assignment and then do what he's got to do at the other end? I don't know. Thomas Jones. Macri wants to push back game time to analyze the new lineup. I'd love to go back and watch some film, but here's the holy shit. Look at what Clyde is wearing. Holy shit. Wow. Wow. That is like looking into the sun. Oh my God. What? That looks like wallpaper. I love it. Holy shit. I'm blind. Wow. Oh, man. Okay. Sorry. I completely lost my train of thought. I have no idea what I was saying. Whew. Don Cappuccini. Hunter versus Randall all series. Yeah, maybe. Nothing would shock me. Because here's the thing. Hunter, and last thing on the matchup stuff. If Hunter just hits his three, if Hunter's just a 3-and-D guy this series, and he expends all of his energy and potentially all of his fouls on playing like as good a defense as he could play against Julius Randle for 25 to 30 minutes a night, and he could just hit 36, 37% of his threes, like that dude's earned his fucking paycheck if that's all he does. I just don't know, like, is he going to be able to be successful against Randle? I don't know. I don't know, because we haven't seen him. Where is DeAndre Hunter physically? Because the first 25 games, as many have pointed out, he was their second or third best player. Oh boy, I still can't get over the. I hope I get to a point in my life one day where I can wear that with the amount of confidence that this lord of a human being is wearing it. God bless Clyde. I love Clyde. He's just the best. I wish he was my grandfather. Boy. Okay. What else do we got? I think that's it. Randall, go take it to him. Barbecue chicken from Staffadon. Eshwin, I just want this game to start. This week was too long. This week was very long. I did appreciate a little bit of a break, though. I'm not going to lie. I slept for a couple of nights. First Australian, but up since 5 a.m. to watch the game here in Australia. Better than 3 a.m. start, so I'll take it. Shout out to you, man, for all the way down to Australia. Clyde is all of our grandfathers. Shout out to Anthony Sixto. David Futternick, let's go barbecue cutlets. Funny. David Futternick is my spirit animal. I love you, David. COTs ask, how old are you? I am 38 years young. I was about to say old. Whatever. I'm 38. I have been on this earth for 38 years. Madrid in the house. Shout out to Adam Petriccione. I hope I got that right. Shout out from J-Mac in, I think that's New Zealand. Okay, there we go. Hush Zoo. I'm more scared of their bench featuring Lou Williams, Herter, and Gallo. That depth got me nervous. Here's the thing. If their bench plays our bench even or close to even, it's a huge advantage for Atlanta, because that's where we won all 3 games. We won those games with our bench. For anybody who hasn't seen the on-off numbers. First Australian. Rick Alfred Martial. Good morning, Knicks Nation. Good morning to you. Macri, last one. Do you think we'll see quickly in a high pick and roll action? He killed him last time with that against Lou Will. Yeah, when he's in the game. But again, I guess, it's not a fear that I have, but it's it's something I'll be watching. is what are the roles when the bench guys are in? And what I mean by that is it just Rose generating offense every possession? Obviously not every possession. He's not going to be able to do it every possession. But is it Rose and quickly basically alternating and taking turns? Do they get Burks to try to be a little bit on the ball and creating some offense? Because you can't have too many guys on the second unit that are in there to generate offense. My suspicion would be that when Burks is in there with the bench guys, he's going to be in there strictly as a 3-point shooter, more or less. And quickly and Rose are going to basically get the assignments on ball. And then when it comes down to late in the game, he'll maybe, as Tibbs has done a lot this season, turn to Burks as essentially the point guard that closes the game. Because obviously we know that Elfrid Payton is not going to close the game. Okay. I hope that answers that question. Rick, been listening to your podcast while waiting for this day, Macri. Thank you for preparing and hyping us for this. You're welcome, and also I'm sorry for getting everybody nervous and not having more confidence. I just any info on Mitch? I was hoping to get a question in today's media session. No new info on Mitch. Nobody has asked about Mitch since. Nobody has asked about Mitch in. I want to say like 12 days, 11, 12 days. I'm sure we'll get an update on him at some point soon, but I don't have any update on Mitch. We have Sonic Jane Stooge. Can't wait for the game. Love from Dumbarton, Scotland. Oh man, I would love to go to Scotland. Stevens Galma is getting his drink ready. See you all after the game. See you after the game, Stevens. Mark Ham, Macri has to rock a Clyde suit when we move to the second round. If they win this series, I will dress up in whatever the fuck you want me to dress up in. I don't really care. Andrew, maybe you can spearhead some kind of an effort to organize consensus about what the fan base would like me to dress up in if they win this series. I will wear whatever you want. And if they make it to, what did I say? I'll get a tattoo of Tibbs' face if they win the championship or if they make it to the finals. It was one of the two, I think. I forget which one. Anyway. All right. What do we have? Michael S. checking in from Chios. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Greece. Good work, John. Thank you, Michael. Dirty Dancer, booty shorts incoming. I hope y'all don't vote for me to wear booty shorts because that's not the answer. I don't know what the question is, but that's not the answer. Anthony Sixto wants me to get the tattoo. Big Blue 56, 15,000 fans sounds good. Andrew Claudio says, Knicks win this series, you wear a Melo jersey to game 1 versus Philly. First of all, you're assuming that Philly's going to win the series. They didn't play that well today. Yeah, I mean, there is a Melo jersey in my house. It's my wife's. But I will find a Melo jersey and I will wear it. Patrick Della Pena, everyone please watch on MSG, not TNT. I got MSG obviously on here, as it will be for all the games that MSG televises. CT Pittman, dress up as a young Tibbs like the T-shirts going around. As a young Tibbs like the T-shirts going around. Oh, okay. I could dress up like a young Thibodeau. I don't have a mullet though, unfortunately. And I don't think I'm going to be able to grow a mullet before the next round. Maybe I could commandeer a wig from someone. Zach Porknoy, get a tattoo of the New York We Hear KFS logo. Listen, if they win the championship, I'll get tattoos of whatever the hell y'all want me to get. No, you want me to wear my wife's Melo jersey. Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate that. I'm not sure that's going to fit. Anyway, all right. What is MSG? Tufty. Okay. What is going on here? Holy shit! David Guetta in the house. Special halftime performance. Can we listen to this together, actually?
Hey, Knicks fan, it's David Guetta here. I'm going to DJ at the halftime, and we're getting ready for this first playoff game with the Knicks. New York, we're here. Hey, Knicks fan, it's David Guetta here.
I guarantee you David Guetta did not know. Forget about the Knicks. I guarantee you David Guetta did not know what the NBA was before he was hired to do this, and I could care less. David Guetta is one of my favorite musical whatever he is of all time. I love David Guetta. I worship at the Church of David Guetta. I ran to a David Guetta playlist the other morning, and the fact that David Guetta is in the house for this Knicks game has me feeling outstanding. Outstanding. There we go. All right. Let's get this going. I'm going to end this. I'm going to watch MSG, as should all of you. David Guetta in the straight shot. Here we go. Giddy up. Let's get this fucking win. All right. I'll see everybody after the game. Adios.